What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, gonna talk about I want to make a correction to the record today. Shout out to my man Black Fight Fan TV who sent me the link to a conversation that Frank Warren had talking about the role that he and BT Sports played in the $50 million offer that Deontay Wilder and his team made to Anthony Joshua and his team to put to rest this notion that $50 million could not be accepted because it involved BT Sports. And I owe people an apology because I should have known that this was just nonsense flat out and that it was probably never said and it was never communicated by Frank Warren. So now that I'm going to do that, I have to point that out, that that's not what he said. In fact, what he said was something completely the opposite. But I should have known that was the case because, like most things, Eddie Hearn and Barry Hearn, there's a lot of miscommunication and a lot of just flat out nonsense that is spread. Misinformation that's spread just so that they can deflect from the fact that they're being asked to do something that they don't want to do. All right, and I'm going to prove it to you. Now, before I do that, I want to thank you to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. Okay? Now, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. Then I'm going to listen. Then you can listen to something, and then I'll come back and explain it to you. But in this short clip from Frank Warren is asked whether or not what the involvement of BT and he were in the $50 million offer that was provided that they offered Anthony Joshua. Phrased in a way that would assume that something is true that is not, I could ask that question: what role did you play in raising funds for the $50 million offer? Frank Warren's response was, we weren't raising funds. I'm not quoting him, I'm paraphrasing him, and then I'll let you listen to what he actually has to say. We weren't involved in raising funds. What we did was we gave them a quote on how much money we think the pay-per-view would do in the UK. We provided them a quote. Is that a quote? That's not a quote. That's an estimation of how much money they think that they could do if the fight was aired in the UK and staged in the UK. If it was on UK pay-per-view, right? Whatever scenario they laid out, they wanted to know how much money the fight would make. So they asked somebody with expertise in the matter, and that person was Frank Warren and BT Sports, because they do pay-per-views in the UK. They did not ask them to chip in and pay 10% or 50% of the money for the fight. What they were doing were they wanted to buy the rights to the fight for $50 million guaranteed. If we give you $50 million guaranteed, then we own the rights to the fight. We own the UK rights. We own the US rights. That's what we want for the money. And how much money do you think it's worth? And that's the entire involvement of Frank Warren and BT. It wasn't the offer. The $50 million was not contingent on the fight being on BT. It wasn't contingent on it being on any network. It was just for the rights for the fight. They didn't ask BT for money. They did not proposition BT about buying the fight. They wanted to know how much it could be worth, period. But go ahead and listen to what he says, and then we'll cover it again afterwards.
And the bottom line was that he was asking me, what sort of money do I think BT would pay for that fight. We had discussions with Shelley, I had discussions with BT, how much money we felt that fight would generate, whether it be a pay-per-view fight, etc. And we told them what the number we thought it would be. The same as I would pick up the phone maybe to him or Bob Arum if I'm bidding for a fight in the States and say to him, look, A's fighting B, how much money do you think the American fighter will generate? And that's how I'll put together my purse bid. It's nothing unusual. So that's how it came about. That's how I knew what the number is. And when we see what it was, that's how it came about. They were made that offer. End of story.
Okay, got it. That's what he's saying. He said that's our whole involvement. That's it. So for you guys that want to keep talking about this nonsense, let's get to something else, okay? Anthony Joshua and I believe it's Anthony Joshua, Eddie Hearn, and Barry Hearn. They are satisfied with fighting as easy a fight as they possibly can get for as much money as they can possibly earn. And they're not willing to risk their the goose that lays the golden eggs. And Anthony Joshua is on board with it. Anthony Joshua now has Dillian White talking about how he's lowballing Dillian White for a fight. Now they're talking about taking who? Dillian. Now the rumor is, this is the rumor, and I'm not disparaging the rumor, but it's a rumor until something happens, right? And often it's not be the first time misdirection was used related to this particular topic and who Anthony Joshua is going to fight or who Dillian White's going to fight. But they're talking about Jarrell Big Baby Miller in New York because Anthony Joshua didn't want to offer up enough money to get Dillian White. That's what Dillian White's saying. Those are the rumors going around. So look, Anthony Joshua can do whatever Anthony Joshua wants to do. And it's going to be what it is. However, let's get this idea out of our head that the $50 million offer that was made to him was predicated on BT Sports being involved. That wasn't the case. And if you're going to say it was the case, you got to come up with somebody other than Frank Warren having said that that's the case, because Frank Warren is telling you that is not true. And that is it's right along with what Lou DiBella said. Lou DiBella on the interview that was out there on the Boxing Voice said the same thing. He said, I don't know what you're talking about. When somebody asked him, what about Frank Warren, giving you money for this fight? And he said, I don't know what you're talking about. That's it. And he said, hey, man, if I want to have partners, I can have partners. They wanted to buy the rights to the fight. They wanted to buy all the rights to the fight for the $50 million guarantee to Anthony Joshua, and his team bought all the rights to the fight, UK rights, US rights, and then they could turn around and sell it to whoever they wanted to sell it to. They could have sold it to BT. They could have sold it if they could sell it to Sky, right? Whoever offers the most money for the fight, that's who they could sell it to. Okay? That's what he said. Now, that's what he said. He said that. And since what most of these people are talking about, their argument is predicated on what Frank Warren said, there you go. He could have turned around and if they own the right for $50 million, they could turn around and sell it to Sky. Right? But then again, hey man, don't let logic get in your way. Or don't let what Frank Warren actually said get in the way of, wild and baseless speculation about what's in AJ's contract or Sky Sports contract. And he also brings up the fact about there's purse bids. What happens when you have a purse bid? If AJ is fighting if AJ loses a purse bid for a mandatory, and what does AJ got to drop the belt? He can't. They'll be like, oh no, I'm sorry, Sky. I have a contract with Sky WBC or WBA. We can't. And my promoter lost a purse bid. How are they going to go around that type of problem, right? So anyway, it is what it is. I just wanted to put that out there. And hopefully we can put a nail in the coffin of that conversation. But I highly doubt that that's the case. Anyway, because people are going to keep bringing it up because it helps their point of view, right? Anyway, it is what it is. And with that, I'm out. Peace.